There's a man standing in front of you at the checkout line. He's wearing a faded polo shirt, jeans that have clearly been through a few hundred washes, and sneakers that probably came from a discount store 6 years ago. Out in the parking lot, he gets into a 2013 Toyota Camry with a small dent on the rear bumper. If you had to guess his net worth, you'd probably say $40,000, maybe $60,000 on a good day. You'd be off by about 4 million because this man is a millionaire. And once you understand why people like him look nothing like the millionaires in your head, everything about money starts to make sense in a way it never has before. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you're growing up. The people posting the rooftop dinners, the leased Mercedes, the designer bags on Instagram, most of them are one missed paycheck away from panic. And the people who actually have generational money, the kind that pays their grandchildren's tuition, they walk right past you at the grocery store and you don't even notice them. This isn't a theory. Thomas Stanley spent 20 years researching American millionaires for his book, The Millionaire Next Door, and the data he uncovered flipped everything upside down. And what's interesting is that this research is still holding up in 2026. Recent studies keep confirming the same pattern. The average millionaire didn't live in a mansion. They lived in a modest home they'd owned for over 20 years. They didn't drive luxury cars. Roughly 80% of them bought their vehicles outright and held on to used cars for a decade. They didn't wear expensive watches. Most of them wore something that cost less than $300. And here's what really matters. They felt more secure, slept better, and had less financial stress than people earning 3 times their income while dressing like they had it all. So let's talk about why this happens. Why the truly wealthy hide their money while people barely holding on broadcast a life they can't afford. The first reason comes down to something most people never really sit with. Looking rich is expensive. Take a simple example. A $70,000 luxury car loses around 20% of its value the moment you drive it home. That's $14,000 gone in an afternoon. Now take that same $70,000 and put it into a standard index fund. Even at a conservative 8% annual return, well below the S&P 500's 30-year average of over 10%, in 30 years you're sitting on more than $700,000. Real millionaires feel this in their bones. When they see a designer watch, they don't see jewelry. They see 20 years of compounding disappearing, and that trade almost never makes sense to them. This is the mental model that separates the wealthy from everyone else. They've trained themselves to see the invisible cost inside every purchase, the version of their future they'd be trading away. Most people only see the price tag. Millionaires see the opportunity cost, and it changes every decision they make from morning coffee to major life purchases. The second reason is psychological, and it goes deeper than most people are comfortable admitting. Someone who needs to look rich is usually trying to fill something. They want to be seen. They want to be respected. They want the neighbors to nod when they pull into the driveway. So they use purchases to buy an identity they don't feel they've earned yet. Now compare that to someone who already knows what they're worth. They don't need a car to prove anything. They don't need a logo on their chest to feel valid. Their portfolio does the talking, and they never even have to open their mouth. There's actually a name for this now. It's called stealth wealth, and in 2026 it's grown into a full movement. It's showing up in everything from how the rich travel to how they wear jewelry, all built around one idea, staying invisible. Old money families have been doing it for generations because they figured out something the rest of the world hasn't. Visible wealth attracts problems. Lawsuits find you. Distant cousins remember your name. Con artists put you on a list. And in the last couple of years, personal safety concerns have pushed even more of the ultra-wealthy toward blending in, choosing custom pieces nobody recognizes over anything with a logo on it. And there's another layer to this most people miss entirely. When you constantly signal wealth, you also raise the ceiling of what you're expected to spend forever. The fancier car creates the expectation of the fancier vacation, which creates the expectation of the fancier home. And suddenly you're trapped inside a version of your life you can never step out of without feeling like you're going backwards. Millionaires avoid this trap by never stepping into it in the first place. They keep their lifestyle deliberately below their means, which gives them something almost no high spender ever gets to feel: room to breathe. The third reason is the one that changes lives once it clicks. A high income is not the same thing as wealth. This is where most people get financially wrecked. They see a neighbor pulling in $400,000 a year and they assume that person has made it. But income is just water flowing through a pipe. Wealth is what stays in the bucket. And plenty of people earning $500,000 a year are one bad quarter away from disaster because every dime went into looking successful. This gap has only gotten wider heading into 2026, with recent surveys showing that even many high earners are still living paycheck to paycheck because of lifestyle inflation. Meanwhile, a middle school teacher who put 15% of every paycheck into index funds for 35 years walks away with $2 million, no debt, and full ownership of their time. Now, this doesn't mean millionaires never spend money. They absolutely do. But they spend it on things that give something back. They buy shoes that last 15 years instead of 5 pairs that fall apart in 2. They spend on their health because they understand that no amount of money brings back a body you neglected. They pay for books, courses, and mentors because a single idea can be worth more than a lifetime of salary. And they pay other people to handle the small stuff, cleaning, taxes, yard work, so they can focus on the work that actually builds something. What they refuse to buy is anything designed to impress someone who doesn't pay their bills. Strangers on the internet don't fund your retirement. Only your choices do. So if you're watching this and you're not where you want to be financially, there's a real chance you've been playing a game nobody explained the rules of. You've been trying to look successful before becoming successful, and those two paths lead somewhere completely different. One ends with a closet full of things you're still paying for and a retirement account that keeps you up at night. The other ends with freedom, the real kind, where a Tuesday morning feels the same as a Saturday because you never have to work again unless you want to. Getting on the right path starts with a few honest changes. First, stop spending to impress people who forgot about you the second you walked away. Nobody thinks about your car after 3 seconds. That approval you're chasing was never real to begin with. Second, before any purchase over $100, run the number forward. Ask yourself what that money would grow into over 30 years if you invested it instead. Third, start tracking your net worth every single month, because that number is the only one that tells you the truth about where you stand. And one more thing worth adding, surround yourself with people who think this way too. The friends you spend the most time with will shape your spending more than any budget ever will. If everyone around you is racing to upgrade, you'll feel weird not racing with them. But if the people close to you understand what real wealth looks like, staying grounded becomes the natural thing to do instead of the hard thing. The people who look the most impressive from the outside are often the ones drowning on the inside, stressed, in debt, running from one payment to the next. And the people who look completely unremarkable, the ones in the old sedan and the worn-out sneakers, they own the world. They just never felt the need to prove it to anyone. If this shifted something for you, do me a favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'll see you there.